That's right! Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And Jacob Wile.
And guys, I wish that the internet wasn't so freaked out about this movie. Tonight we're talking Wish, and as I kind of exposited off air, man, the discourse around this movie is freaking exhausting, and I really don't want to get into it, but let's just say, the three of us, we're just gonna talk about the movie. I don't care about if it's a flop or not. I don't care about the Disney politics. Let's just talk about the movie, shall we? What a concept! I'm so exhausted by fan culture, guys. Can you tell? I'm fucking exhausted.
I think you defeated the point talking about it before the podcast, if you're just going to open with that, but yes.
I just want to get it out there. Anyways, guys, here's the thing. I like this movie. I don't love it. I definitely think it's messy, for sure. I think by far the weakest element of this movie is the plot. I think the plot is really almost kind of an afterthought. But this movie has two elements that I really love. That being one, the animation it's tricky because I'm still not really that big of a fan of the character designs and the character animation, but I love the backgrounds in this movie. I love this movie's background. I feel like nobody is giving this movie any credit for that. And number two, the villain is, it probably is just a case of me just being fucking starved for a good Disney villain. But I'm like, ooh, he's being campy and deliciously evil just for the sake of being evil. Yes, give me more of this. So ultimately I walked away from this movie I definitely don't hate it. I would probably rank it above the last few Walt Disney Animation Studios movies that we got in, besides Encanto, of course. So I would rank it above Strange World. I would rank it above Ralph Breaks the Internet. I would rank it above Frozen 2. It's not a masterpiece. It's not even great. But I don't know. I think it's got good things going to it that people just are just ignoring because the general consensus on Disney is just so negative right now. Let's see. I'll throw it to Jacob. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I did like the movie too. I mean, like I said, I was the one who was talking the most about this, behind the scenes even before this movie came out. But when you guys couldn't even remember any of the names of any of the characters or anything.
I mean, that's true.
So it's so I did some, but to be fair, I mean, there wasn't one of the things I was the most hyped for. So I'll be fair on that one, and I'll keep it somewhat brief. It's I liked the movie, just like Tiki. I liked it. I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, I didn't outright hate it. And I didn't hate the movie or anything. I just, obviously, as Tiki said, the story it just kind of feels half baked in some places. Mm-hmm. I don't really get enough. There's kind of a baking subplot in this movie almost. Or plot that takes place in the bakery almost, which is
right.
Which is kind of funny. So, but again, I like the animation, obviously the whole painted CG. I'm a big fan of that. Of course, the backgrounds, probably obviously done in computer, but they evoke in computer watercolor kind of thing. So
it evokes multiplane for me, which was just a great thing that nobody is talking about.
Of course, the villain was good. I mean, it was good. I mean, I kind of wish there was a little bit more meat on the bones there with the villain, but it was kind of nice to have a evil for the sake of being evil villain. Mm-hmm. It's and it was and I liked a couple. And the music was good. I mean, they're let's just say I didn't exactly walk away humming any of the songs afterwards, but I thought they served the movie well.
All right, Dragon, before you get into it, I just want to shout out a couple comments. Theme Park Priest says, anything I hear is going to be a spoiler. Spoil away. Oh, we sure will, Priest. Spoiler alert, Asha is the fairy godmother. Kind of. We'll get into that.
I was waiting for the kind of, and I'm was ready to pounce on that. I heard the kind of. I was like, okay, he got it.
All right. Kogias is also in the comments. He's giving props to Alan Tudyk for his extensive voice work. Although I would argue Tudyk is... This is not the best Alan Tudyk role from Disney. Let's just call a spade here.
It's Clayface as a goat.
God. But, Kogias, I know that you haven't been around for that long, but Dragon and I'm sorry, man. And I want to start this off by saying, like, all film is subjective. I don't think you're, like, stupid or anything for liking Frozen 2. Like, it's all good. I perfectly respect other people's opinions. Dragon and I really weren't fans of Frozen 2. We really did. I feel like that was kind of a dividing point between us and the audience. So this is not the first time that someone from the audience has called out our low opinion of Frozen 2. Jacob, I forget what you think of Frozen 2.
I mean, I liked it.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I like it.
I personally don't. I kind of differ from. Code Geass. I think the first one is better, but I still like Frozen 2.
I still maintain that the best part of Frozen 2 is the Panic at the Disco cover of Into the Unknown. That is the best thing that came out of that movie. Anyways, Dragon, what did you think of this?
All right, so I tried going into Wish without expectations. I tried to keep an open mind. I admit fully that I was trying to ignore the less than dazzling marketing campaign on Wish. I really wanted
to, but British.
I wanted to fancy goat, more fancy than British, but yeah. I wanted to give it a fair shot, and so I went into the movie just like I didn't even know if it was going to see it in theaters. I asked like a buddy of mine, like, "Hey, you want to see Wish?" He said, "Yeah, sure." Not like, "Yes, we must see Wish." He's like, "Yeah, sure." So we saw it, and I tell you, giving it as fair a shot as I could, it's a mixed bag. The animation's great, but they rush the story.
The story's the big problem for sure.
Well, yeah, so either they rush the story or there's just no passion there, and this is the thing I've been saying for a number of the recent Disney films. Honestly, Raya onward, with a few exceptions. It's kind of this assembly line problem. It feels like we're meeting quotas, which leads to, again, I guess, kind of the term of the evening here: some half-baked films. But here's the thing. This movie isn't bad. It's not bad, but sadly, per this pattern with these assembly line films, minus a film that seemingly they have passion for, not a film I fully love, at least I can respect the love for it, Encanto. The exception being Encanto, that's been a string of assembly line or just churning them out to churn them out. Are they bad? No. Are they meeting the Disney standard? Not quite.
Right.
And Disney keeps putting them out, and one could say Disney keeps putting out films that are mediocre. And that's what it feels like. It really does. That's what I'm feeling with I'm going back to this film. I'm struggling to find stuff for this movie because it is so thoroughly mediocre in places. It's like it looks like they took a shot at combining Tangled and Frozen in this film. Kind of let's take kind of the revitalized kind of a 3D film with very much a 2D vibe and the animation style and everything, how we're animating our characters and kind of the backgrounds and such. And we're trying to kind of take kind of a very kind of like do a refresh on kind of our classic kind of fairy tale sort of thing, a la Frozen. But again, the result is it's just so hollow, and it didn't have to be, because this film is kind of a blank canvas. And I think maybe there's a bit of a double-edged sword with that, maybe not. It's the fact of it's Wish. We could not get as vague a title as we possibly could. The sky's the limit. We could think about it. Last time we had such a vague Disney adjacent title was Up, and look how amazing that turned. Now, I'm not saying we were necessarily expecting Up here, but it's the fact that sometimes you can take a generic title and that gives you free range to do everything and really surprise people. And I really want to go back to this movie and find really nice things about it. And there are things I do like about it, but really, there's not a lot to grab onto. And that's not me that's trying to come down on the movie. It's just really, I'm looking.
I just don't think there's as much stuff that's actively bad as other recent Disney movies.
I mean, this film's like 90-minute purgatory, man. It's kind of what it is, you know. It's I forget what the runtime is, but you know, it's roughly.
It's almost exactly.
It's over 90 minutes.
It's
probably a little over 90 minutes, but yeah, essentially, I don't know. It's not bad. It ain't great. It's just there, and I'm struggling to find like handles to grab onto.
All right, fair enough. Before we start, guys, I gotta call out Code Geass in the comments, man. How dare you spend time with your family instead of listening to one of our podcasts? Come on! All right, no, I'm totally kidding, obviously. I just thought it was funny that you even had to apologize for that. Anyways.
We'll forgive you this time, Geass, but stay in line.
I mean, I am personally offended.
I mean, Jacob was crying himself to sleep. I don't know.
God.
I know he's too proud to admit it. He's too macho to admit it, but I'll just say it. He was deeply hurt by Code Geass's inattendance on that one.
All right. So I'd like to start this conversation out with something that, I do not agree with the internet on their general take on the movie, because basically, according to the internet, this movie basically created a new form of cancer or something. Like, this movie committed war crimes, according to the internet. But what I can agree with on the internet is that the character of Asha, the whole thing, first of all, I think Ariana DeBose did do a really good performance. I actually think her voice works well. I like that her voice is a little bit more raspy than the traditional Disney princess. But my God, the stuff with Asha being low, quirky in the beginning, it felt so forced, especially because that character trait basically gets stripped away pretty early on. So it literally feels like we just had, Asha being quirky and awkward for the sake of trailer fodder, honestly. And also, really quick, Dragon, with the title, I just want to bring up the thing that's always bothered me about the title is that it literally shares the name with a cruise ship. Mm-hmm. It's if that's not corporate cynicism, I don't know what is.
It's like, folks, you type in Disney Wish or Wish Disney. I mean, guess what's gonna? It's not automatically going to be this movie. So.
It's kind of like the anti-Frozen in that way. But anyways, so you guys agree that I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily think Asha is a bad character as we get further on into the movie, but I do think she basically goes from essentially an Anna clone to, as the movie goes on, she's basically blank slate hero protagonist and
Tabula rasa. Anyway, here's the thing though. She I think I like the goal that she has at the top of this movie, and I think that is a good entry point for her. She wants to. Yes,
I'm just saying. I'm agreeing with you. I'm not saying anything.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, she wants. She wants to create her. She wants to have her grant her Saba's wish granted for. I mean, I don't think it's his birthdays per se, but the man has reached 100 years. He wants his wish granted during the.
I'm pretty sure it is his 100th birthday.
Yeah, it's his 100th birthday.
So literally the birthday. It's not just he's just 100 at this point. It's his 100th
I'm pretty sure
birthday.
It is literally his 100th birthday.
Which, by the way, let's just call this out right now. Okay. First of all, that man does not look 100, but you know why he's 100?
Why?
Because Disney's turned.
Yeah.
That's
the
big thing they're touting off with Wish. Hey, we're going to be time for the 100.
Also, I do not buy that human beings in general can even live to be 100.
Well, I think science will disagree.
Let alone be that spry and chipper.
About the letter.
Tell that to Japan.
Well, that's the thing, Tiki. So science will disagree with you on the fact that humans. It's kind of more of a
Really?
It's a phenomenon that
I
does
might have
happen.
my science way wrong on this,
Yeah.
but I always just assumed that the lifespans for people were like way shorter the earlier on.
It's a small percentage, but it is like, I mean, the Guinness World Record book has people in the hundreds on the regular for a reason.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Understand.
Hey, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right.
There is like a weird competition though of like, like the people who can get over 100 though, like competing to be the oldest person. So that's that's kind of like the real. There's your kind of your Centennial Olympia there, But anyway, the point being, though, I'm just saying it feels very synergistic, and this film's very self-referential. I do not think that man's 100 by accident. I'm going to call that out. Anyway, but yeah, so I like that we give her a very relatable goal. She wants her grandfather's wish to come true, and he's getting up there, and it's really a sad thing that, the way the tradition goes, like age 18 is when your wish gets held. So it's really sad if that's, presumably the king obviously would have to be much older than 100 to have that thing be accurate. Let's just say he's been waiting for a long time, probably not 100 years.
Ooh, that's actually a good plot hole right there. I didn't even think about that.
Well, to be fair, they
you
probably
can just push it away with magic. That's obviously like the explanation. But
I think the more practical explanation is probably just like the tradition started at a certain point, so he was probably like he gave everyone the opportunity, but at any people that were born, a little younger than the king would probably be age 18 onwards.
Sure.
So that's the ceremony, but I think everyone, when they think of like, hey, you want to save a wish, so that's probably when that's having. The point being, I think Asha has a very relatable goal, which I think does ingratiate her to us, the viewer, initially. And I think even though she doesn't really have a lot going on besides her just being in a relatable starting place and like, oh, no one likes to be framed. There's something there.
No one likes to be framed.
No one likes to be framed.
Put that on the.
Be careful with the belly lash. I think you're destabilizing the microphone a little bit.
All right.
Anyway, yeah, that's what anyway. So, all right. So, anyway, but yes, Ashi does have a great design though. DeBose she's a solid pick, and you'd think on paper it's like, okay, she had a really good singing in West Side Story. Let's put her in a Disney movie. We'll give her a neat looking character.
I mean, they did the same thing for Rachel Ziegler.
Yeah, well, that one had a bit of a trickier turn on things, but yes. So the point being, we're doing a lot of West Side Story pulls, and to varying degrees of success with the Disney company lately, it would seem.
What about Rachel Ziegler?
I mean, Dragon was talking about how Asha's voice actress was pulled from West Side Story, and and I was pointing out just like Rachel Ziegler,
which clearly has gotten a little tricky lately, but
weird.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways,
anyway,
who makes it clear that she constantly has no idea what she's talking about, especially in regards to the original movie.
Yeah.
I literally had night terrors about the original Snow White. It literally scarred me for life. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Okay, the point being, on paper, you'd think, okay, we want someone who can sing for a Disney movie as a princess. Might have a bit of a not at least as a female-led Disney character in this case. It just feels like we didn't really. I don't think we fully tapped into our talents. Like I said, the songs as far as the music goes in this movie, it feels like, I'm going to use an analogy here. It's like it's not the night to record the album. Let's call it. It's sort of like, and that's not in terms of her singing.
Approximately, I want to say 2 of these songs. One I really like, and one I will give a holiday pass to. The rest I don't even actively think are bad. I just think they're pretty forgettable.
I think you cut out again.
Tiki, your mic's cutting out like crazy, buddy.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, well, he sorts that out. Anyway, yep.
Should I try going in and out?
Yeah, you might want to, buddy.
Okay.
Anyway, what was I getting? Oh, right. Okay, so here's the thing. I say it's not the night to record the album, not because she's having an off time singing. She's doing her thing, and I'm sure it sounds great. It just feels like these are not quite the iconic Disney songs by any barometer. It feels like. Jacob, would you agree with that? I mean, are they okay, passable, but not really like an earworm sort of thing?
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's like I liked them for for some of them were and how they moved along the story, but like outside of like the villain song and the title song, like I didn't really find like myself humming a lot of them, wanting to like listen to them on repeat afterwards.
And it's got the other thing too of so many times with Disney films they kind of bump up into the thing of like, do we really need music in this one? Where right now this movie needs all the story help that it can get. And I don't. It feels like maybe we shouldn't divert focus with the songs, and maybe we should develop the world a little bit here. I don't know, or develop certain plot points, or maybe hammer out some of the issues. I don't know. I mean, I see that we are moving plot forward, but I don't know. It does feel maybe a little like we're grinding things to a halt for a song at times. It's not like a complete like unrelated. So I don't know. It just feels like maybe it's like we're padding things out because we're thin in the story department.
Yeah.
Jacob, you respond to the thing, would you?
Yeah. What respond to what?
Yeah, in the chat, please. Just in the.
Like it's like the film has been accused of existing to celebrate. You think that's true?
Hold on.
Right? The Rachel Zegler controversy has gone too far. It's like, yeah, it's like, well, that is an interpretation anyway. I mean, let's just not discuss that right now, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot. The Ziggler thing, I don't know. For a moment, I saw something about it today, and I thought it might have been like I thought it might have been like a gag video or something. But it sounds I don't know if it's real or not. But yeah, I know she's been kind of like like speaking out against Snow White and stuff lately. But anyway, it's not really our place on this one to really dive into unpack all that. It's probably more of a memoirs thing, really, to really see how we want to talk about that thing. So I guess to highlight some of our voice cast here. Yeah, we do have some really good names on this because, as we mentioned, we had Ariana DeBose, and we have so Saba is voiced by the wonderful Victor Garber. Yes, Sleepless in Seattle's Victor Garber. No, Victor Garber's a great actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff. I mean, that's just a recent thing we had. Just a recent thing we had discussed on our Thanksgiving special. But yeah, I mean, I love Victor Garber from the Arrowverse, and he's a good actor. Anyway, so him playing Saba is pretty neat. Now here, I want to run this by here. So when I heard the name Saba, I kind of perked up a bit because I thought we were maybe going to scratch some really interesting territory here in a Disney movie. This thing, if I understand it, Saba is like essentially it's Hebrew or Yiddish for grandfather.
That's what I heard too.
That's the thing. So forgive me if I'm getting that wrong. I think it's Hebrew. I don't know if there's like a slight distinction between Yiddish and Hebrew, but let's just say I don't know. I just remember like we've never really had like Hebrew Judaism or anything like that like kind of really broached in a Disney thing. I mean, but I'm not saying we haven't had like brief like for example, Olaf's Frozen Adventure. We address a little bit of Hanukkah in there briefly, but that's I mean, it's like not like a real kind of okay. There's a Hebrew term. There we go. So, yeah, it's for a moment I was kind of wondering, are we going to reach into that? This is like really at the start of the movie, so when we hear the Saba character introduced, it's like, are we going to get into that and maybe like the world building a little of Rosas? Like, is there kind of like, we didn't really do that, so it was a little. I was somewhat deflated, but then again, it wasn't like a must or anything. It just felt like, oh man, it's kind of missed opportunity. Given your main character's name is like Saba and referring to him as such. Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It make it. Hey, I guess it works as like a flavor text kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's not. Like you said, it's not very common, at least in terms of their movies, because I think they have more of a Jewish thing in their TV shows.
Yeah. Like for example, I'm trying to remember. I think Ron Sable's Jewish. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, there are quite a few other characters, but But yeah, Unstoppable's a big example of
I
that.
think he's kind of like a flagship example of a really popular character who is Jewish. I mean, like,
Even though technically it's not really explored that much.
Well, I mean, we did have like the whole bar. We had his bar mitzvah. We had him like becoming the man thing in Vegas.
Yep, Ron the man.
Exactly, Ron the man. So I know we addressed it. I think as much as we could without being intrusive. But you're right. There was room to explore. Perhaps we had a rabbi in Kim Possible. Something.
Yep. So honestly, I'm not too sure.
Anywho. Well, for example, we have an upcoming Phineas and Ferb, so get to this as well a little bit, but let's not jump the gun on that one.
Yep, I know exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Okay. So King.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay, I have no idea what the hell happened.
Yeah, like you were coming through a tunnel or something. Oh, okay, anyway.
But as you mentioned, King Magnifico,
played by the wonderful Chris Pine.
I am like. Here's the thing with Magnifico is I will agree that like plot-wise he is absolutely underbaked. Like absolutely. Like there should have been at least one more rewrite to get his character motivation down.
Yeah.
However, performance and animation-wise, I think he's like I mean, it's not like this is a big competition, considering that there hasn't even really been any villains since King Candy, but he's the best Disney villain since King Candy.
Question.
Okay.
Let's say, for argument's sake, honestly, look-wise, I think he's pretty close to this as well. Let's say you closed your eyes and you did not know if Chris Pine was playing our bad guy here. Does he sound like Homelander to you? Does he sound like Anthony Starr?
I could see it a little bit. I mean, honestly, he kind of acts like Homelander.
That's the thing. Between the acting, a bit of if Homelander had a goatee, I don't know. Just a little bit.
Okay, now I want to see Homelander with facial hair in season 3.
Good.
Or 4. We are
4.
We're on 4.
Yeah, it's going to be 4. The next one's 4.
Okay.
But yeah, so but you're right. No, Chris Pine is fun.
You've got to be sarcastic. Like I can respect that you like Frozen 2 better than this movie, but you've got to be sarcastic on this. Come on. Well, really, yes, he is a better villain than Hans and I don't know the grandfather from Frozen 2.
Well,
question mark.
Well, I think he mainly means Hans and the Duke of Wesselton or Weaselton.
He's better than both of those guys. And I don't even, really mind Hans, but this guy is, he's a full-fledged Disney villain. He's as hammy as someone like Jafar or Scar. I'm not saying he's as well-written as either of those two. Don't get me twisted.
We know what Hans is doing after Frozen. He's cleaning toilets with starfish. Dumb joke, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
I'm sorry. Again, all film is subjective. I respect your opinion, for sure. That's certainly a unique take. That's honestly probably the hardest I've ever seen anyone go to bat for those characters. But yeah, I mean, for me, I definitely think that Magnifico is a higher tier of villain than the Frozen villains. I'm sorry.
I mean,
agree to disagree on this.
Look, I'm going to give Kogias a little bit of back in here, just a little bit, just in the sense of I think Hans and the Duke of Weston are going to be more memorable than King Magnifico at the end of the day. Let's be honest. I mean, well, King Magnifico, I think in terms of villainy, is probably superior in his approach and everything. He did get things done. He was rather clever with that whole shape-shifting thing at the end. That was pretty clever.
One thing I will say about Magnifico is that his actual villain song is pretty weak.
Yeah, well,
I like the duet he has, where it's Asha and him both singing. I like that song a lot more, but the main villain song, yeah, that's definitely probably the most disappointing. I mean, it sounds like pop reggae. It's what even is this? Okay. Stylistically, it's one of my least favorite songs on the whole soundtrack.
So here's the thing with Magnifico here. So I'm having a great time with him as a traditional mustache twirly villain. He's got some style. He's got an ego about him. He's pretty much Homelander with a goatee, as a royal. But here's the double-edged sword, primarily, for this film for me, with him. Okay, I feel like it feels like kind of like a no-win situation with him. Where on one hand, you could lob the criticism at it that it's like, why couldn't he be bad before, like why can't it be bad before and after he goes to the evil spell book?
Okay,
Uh-oh.
at the very least,
Tiki, it's happening again. All right. Anyway, sorry, what was I getting at? All right, okay. So it's like this double-edged this criticism that you could say, okay, why can't he be bad before and after the? It seems like. Okay, I'm sorry. One more time. So,
I don't know,
yep.
guys. I mean,
All right. All right, let me try and recall my thing here. All right, so with Magnifico, it's kind of a double-edged sword here. I think what we have in the movie is like, okay, so he's bad before and after the spell book. You're kind of wondering like, couldn't we have a bit of an arc there or something? On the flip side, it's like, okay, what if he were good and then he had the evil spell book turn him evil, therefore he would have like a redeemable thing there, or it wasn't like all bad. It's like people are gonna still complain either or. So it's like it's a no-win situation whether or not we want to have like a truly bad Disney villain, or we want to have a guy who's like, oh, he's well intended and then he goes bad. And I don't know. I feel like we're kind of in a tricky spot now with the Disney villains. Period. And I feel what we have here is like, again, he's a good mustache twirling villain with an ego, but it's just really clunky starting him off like from the get go with that. Like we start really early with it, we're playing it like it's a reveal that he's a bad guy. It's like a reveal after 5 minutes, so it's not much of a reveal.
It's like they kind of like give like his motivation as to like he saw what a wish can do, but I think they kind of forget that part when they just have him automatically go to being corrupted by the book.
Yeah, but he was already shady before that too, and that's the thing,
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that, but like I'm saying, like they kind of like wanted to have both.
Yeah.
his backstory needed to be fleshed out. I feel like we got like a little taste of like, oh, something tragic happened in his past, but we genuinely don't really have any idea what.
Right, because we tee it up and then we do nothing with it. It's
that feels like a deleted scene or something.
Okay, I'm gonna pitch you in quotes his backstory. Okay, someone went into his house and burned up the little tapestry he had on the wall of the kingdom. He got really mad about it. And he's like, I never want that to happen to anyone. I don't want anyone to specifically break into people's houses.
Just about the tapestry.
Because that's all we know. That's all we know. All we know is he had a tapestry. It's a little damaged, probably fire damage.
Oh my god. All right. Let me tell you something that I also think is super messy about this. Are we moved on from Magnifico?
Well, I think you and I are about to breach the same point. But Jacob, what did you want to talk about, buddy?
I mean, I'm pretty much done. I mean, and I will say, like, I actually did kind of like the song, his villain song.
I mean, it's okay. It's just really not. I don't think it's measuring up really, but it's okay.
I will say this much. I think, like, as an actual piece of music, it is rather catchy. I'm just very underwhelmed by it as a villain song, if that makes sense.
It does.
Like, I think it's way too up-tempo to be a villain song. That's my problem with it.
I mean, I can at least say that at least they're trying a different take on a villain song.
Sure, but the thing is, I think that's the thing with this movie that's really confusing, honestly, is the fact that, like, with the 100-year thing, I feel like this movie wants to have it both ways, where it's like it's trying new things, but it's also very much going into tradition. And I don't know, especially given the fact that we've had like a severe lack of villains lately, I think it might have been smarter to go a more traditional route with the villain song.
I like what his song's about, but I'm just not crazy about the execution. I like the idea this guy's ego is just blinding him to the fact that, it's like this guy just thinks that everything should just bend to his women. Like, all the good I've done for these people, grant their wishes. Yeah, but you're stockpiling. You're being really choosy about whose wishes gets granted. That brings me to the big flaw I have with this film. I have one true central flaw with this film.
Okay.
Okay, and this is what really hurts it. Like, is the big crack in the foundation for me. The premise is the faulty foundation for me with how the wishing works.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. The magic in this movie makes absolutely no sense.
And look, I'll give magic a lot of leeway. Once upon a time, I'll give a lot of leeway, man. I will.
You just need rules. That's the thing. You need rules. And this movie does not have rules.
Yes and no.
It's like, here, a fucking falling star is going to fall from the sky and animals are going to talk and not much else of substance.
Yes and no to we need rules, Tiki. Here's what I've noticed, okay? I've noticed this recurring thing lately usually with the multiverse, but it's in general, as I've said, it's like in some aspects, we keep adding too many rules to we shouldn't add rules to vague concepts. And here we had a vague concept and we added rules to it. And weird rules that didn't really make much sense. It's like these rules in the world building of Rosas makes no sense. And that, okay, so you have a desire, more a desire than a wish. Like, you basically have a career that you want.
Uh-huh.
Not even like a wild, genie, like a genie could grant this wish sort of idea. Like, you want it, like a wish should be something like vague and wild, and you can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be locked in and put into a ball. It can be anything you want.
It's just kind of funny. Like, some of them, Saba wants to play and wants to perform and inspire people, and then the lady wants to fly.
Mm-hmm. See, exactly. So it's like less. It's like less wishes. Basically, here it's like a wish is just to make life more life aspiration than it is just like a flight of fantasy wish.
Well, a dream is a wish your heart makes, Dragon.
I know, but still, like, that's what I'm saying. That's the only rule they've applied to this. Oh, because it fits into the song. That's the only reason it's there.
I know.
I know. So it's like
I just think it's kind of funny that it's that song taken literally in this.
All they needed to do, and we get the sense of what they wanted to do. It's like they wanted to be like a lottery drawing, and that's why it's in. That's why
what it genuinely. I feel. Here's the thing. It's like I feel like on paper, the idea of Magnifico like withholding most people's dreams because it's like dangerous politically. Like, I think on paper that's actually really compelling because I really do think you can make a lot of parallels to like the real world and how politics are shaping out now and how we are getting into this whole thing where, you're either like very for authority or very against authority and there's not really much middle ground. And
true, but this is not the movie to address that in. This is like we saw. Okay, so the man wants to teach people to play guitar. That's not really a politically upending. Yeah,
it's a lute.
Sorry.
I agree that the whole idea of the grandfather like potentially like I feel like that was meant to be like a political thing, like not overtly political, but it was meant to be like, oh, he doesn't want that to happen because it might cause people to like rebel against the system or whatever. But it's like I said, on paper that makes sense, but it's so like washed over. And again, I kind of feel like we're spending a lot of time bitching about this movie, and I want to just
this is like the main thing to do. This plot point here.
Well, I just want to reemphasize, like, by and large, all three of us, to varying degrees, at least liked this movie overall. Like, I just want to throw that in there, just because the consensus on this movie is so negative that I
don't hate this movie.
I don't want to hate on this.
I'm
movie.
Frustrated. This movie could have been better.
No, I agree.
Because, okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like, we did the thing where it's like, essentially, what we want to say is, okay, the king essentially picks people like a lottery, and that's what these orbs really should be. That's how he's picking people and keeping track of it. The wishes
themselves. If it was a lottery, then we wouldn't have a plot.
That's the thing. It should, well, it's still, you might be able to get, you're right, it wouldn't be much of a plot, but it's the fact, like, that should be how he selects the people, and then he grants the person's wish. Okay, but so that's the thing. So okay, you give the orb to the king, and then he will decide. He will choose the wish, and they'll have a ceremony to grant them. That's pretty straightforward. okay, but this whole thing of like apparently it drains you or you lose the memory and all that.
That was messy as fuck.
This is what I'm saying. This is too many rules. That's the problem. There's rules and then there's too many rules and conditions and
apparently
fine print.
Sleepy was always the bastardest backstabber of the Seven Dwarves, apparently. That was a little known fact.
We'll get to that in a second. And here's the thing, one of my favorite scenes in the movie, they call this logic out. They don't have a good answer for it.
Which one? What's that?
Well, the scene with what is it? I'm trying to get her name right here. Doc, essentially Delilah. Dahlia. Okay, so Dahlia.
Yeah.
Like Dahlia's stalling for time, and she's like she's calling up the wish semantics. She gets everyone asking the right questions here. Just like, well, can we have other wishes? And he just doesn't have any good answers for any of this.
I mean, it might have just been them like calling out their own logic, I guess.
Well, yeah, that's what. But by that same, I don't know. Jacob. You're right in the fact is they need to upturn that system, which is why they're kind of covered in that regard. But still, it feels like if you have to buy these people who are going along with this for so long, and now they're asking these questions. Really now?
I guess they never had any reason to before.
I mean, still, it's just, I don't know. It's like,
we're
going to lose our memories? We're giving you our memories? Why can't you just grant our wishes, man?
I mean, look, I'm not saying, I'm not defending it or anything, Dragon. I kind of thought that was a little weird, too.
I guess ultimately, all these rules and semantics, it makes you wonder, like, what's the point if it's just going to be your life's desire? I could just pursue that on my own. Why do I need if anything's really what they're after is job secure? Make her a tailor.
If anything, it's like if they could have like turned it into a whole thing, like, oh, they're just trying to get the easy way out. Like
but the easy way is like hire them for the occupations there.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean is like they're giving it to Magnifico in hopes that they'll get the easy way out one of these days, which could have been an interesting story in itself.
Yeah, but not really explored.
Yeah.
And I feel if Disney were really bold on this one, what it feels like we might have been able to do, and because I feel like we might be in some sense circling. I could be completely off base here, but to me, it's interesting because we have this really interesting premise of. Sorry, like as what I'm getting is that the king, we're lacking a cautionary tale aspect of the king's story, where there should be something here of like this, this guy's running a kingdom on false hope, which I find to be interesting. I think the cautionary tale in this moral is like you shouldn't do what the king is doing here, and I don't think that quite comes across. I don't think the moral comes across there, and it just feels like Disney, if they were bold, it could be a thing of like somewhat of a commentary on like corporate commercialism versus like the earnest idealism of the wish. Like, here's the wish as we deem it, and this is what's going to be better for everyone. Like, these wishes best serve the kingdom and best serve everyone else, versus like, hey, just like a nice little humble wish that's just for the heck of it, versus something that has to serve the community or something.
Yeah.
Like the artistry versus the building the infrastructure. Again, basically, kind of corporate thinking versus the artists and animators thinking, one could argue. I don't know. I'm saying, but that'd be really bold of them. I don't think they'd ever do that. But I mean, I don't know. It feels like something that maybe could have been explored, just given the fact we're looking at two different schools of thought on wishes anyway in the movie.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yep. It is very cruel when he's like crushing those wishes and everything too, and he's absorbing like people's like memories and wishes and everything to make himself more strong.
Admittedly, that is pretty interesting, even though it's like they ultimately just feel a bit of heartache when it breaks their wishes.
See, I like the idea that the king he's been protecting these wishes, and he like his ego goes it just goes completely out of whack here when he thinks people are questioning him and they don't like him, and like how dare they ask for these things? Haven't I given enough to these people? And that drives him off the deep end to then like breaking his promise of protecting the wishes to absorbing the wishes. Like that's interesting to me, and I think that's like if you're gonna like have this character spiral out of control, it just feels like I don't know. I don't have a good reason for it. It just feels like, given how this movie opens, it feels like we already put him in a place that's already there. He's already like, this guy's very shady. I don't believe everyone will be like, oh, look at the pretty boy king. Yeah, I
mean, although like I said, as Tiki did point out earlier, it is kind of nice to just have an evil villain, like not necessarily a tragic one or anything like that. And he is hammy, over the top, and I think Chris Pine did a great job with what he was given.
Yeah, he did. No, absolutely did. I do feel we may have shortchanged the Queen, though. The Queen was interesting to me. I like the turn that we did with her. It just feels like I kind of wish the King had some hesitation or regrets with her, but he didn't.
I am so over this microphone issue, guys. We have not had technical issues like this in literal years. I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Well, you seem to be coming in fine now.
Intermittently, but yes.
Well, okay, what I've been literally trying to say for the past 5 minutes.
All right, don't get mad at me. Just go on.
I think that the point of the message of this movie is very anti-authority, right? Like basically like you should not put your faith in the government. That is essentially the message of this movie. All right, can we get behind that?
Well, that's kind of that's what I'm circling too. Is that feels like we're going against like a corporate or political structure, I guess. But yeah,
or at least a tyrannical one, like because they're still in a monarchy at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, before I cut out again, can we talk about the Seven Dwarfs?
Yeah. So that's a weird. So that's a weird choice, right? Am I crazy? I mean, it's okay.
It is fucking weird. Here's the thing. It's like, I feel like if they were background characters, then sure, whatever. Neat little homage, I guess. Maybe have a couple of them have speaking roles. Like, for example, like, if it was just the Doc character as, like, a main character, and then she had a group of people that didn't really, have a lot of screen, that would be fine. But I think the problem is that having 7 of them, man, it is way too many characters. And because of that, like, literally, it's like, you have Doc, Delia, and then you have Grumpy, which, of course, Grumpy's going to get the most screen time. And honestly, unlike the original Grumpy, I wasn't really charmed by this kid, I gotta say. But then the rest of them, like, very much fall into the background.
Yeah, they just fall into their archetypes.
But I do want to shout with the actress who plays Dahlia, Jennifer Kumiyama. She was actually in the Aladdin show in California Adventure, and many people saw her because she was in that show for like a long chunk of its run, and she's very notable because she was in a wheelchair and she had like a little vendor's cart attached to her wheelchair in that show. So I have definitely seen her in person multiple times at that Aladdin show, unlike Dee Dee Mango, who I'm pretty sure I saw in person. Pretty sure. Like, I know I've seen her in person. Yeah, Kogias, the reason why it was definitely a 100-year anniversary thing with the Snow White of it all. I don't know. It's just a fucking weird choice. That being said, weirdly enough, the 7 Dwarf characters, they do have what I consider to be the best song in the movie, which is Knowing What I Know Now. I think that song is great. Like, honestly, that was the one song for me that really stood out in the soundtrack. I really like the rhythm of it. Everyone's kind of poo-pooing the Queen in this movie, but here's the thing. I fucking love the moment when the Queen comes in and there's like that little bit of suspense, and then she joins in about the king. Like, that to me was the high point of the whole film for me, was that little beat right there. I was like, yes, literal slay queen moment. She's had it up to here and she's joining the heroes. I don't know. Like, that was the one moment in the movie where I genuinely got into the story and wasn't just kind of like coasting on, ooh, pretty backgrounds and fun villain, which is essentially like, as much as I was kind of trying to sermonize, like, let's not treat this film so harshly, the pretty visuals and fun villain are kind of like the only thing that this movie really has going for it. So, I don't know. That song really stood out. You know what song didn't stand out? Or maybe stood out in a bad way?
What?
You're a Star.
See, if there can be any pop culture, if there can be any pop culture pull in the soundtrack, could be your shining star. That'd be hilarious.
Oh God. Seriously, that movie is like Baby's, or that song is like Baby's first rap song, except it's not written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, so it's just obnoxious.
Mm.
I mean, and to be fair, even if it is written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, that doesn't exempt it from being obnoxious.
Yeah, looking at you, Scuttlebutt. That's very fair. That's very fair.
Anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, the star though. We should talk about the star. I found the star to be delightful. I really like the little star.
Okay, here's the thing, Dragon. You haven't played Mario Galaxy.
Well, I saw him in the movie though. That was the same star, right?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of.
The Lumas are from Mario Galaxy, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so Jacob, what do you think? Because I know you're obviously much more in tune with the Nintendo of it all. Like, the star, like, characterization-wise was cute. I could not get over the fact that it was very blatantly just a Luma.
The thing is, Lumas didn't really cross my mind with this.
Oh, it did me. I don't know. I don't know why. For me,
Okay, well, so what if it looks like a Luma? What's the deal?
I mean, Lumas. Lumas are literally just sentient star-looking creatures.
No, I know that. I'm saying, what's the problem if it does look?
That's my point. It's not a problem. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
If you take like a star, give it a little bit of roundness, add 2 dots for eyes and a mouth, it's gonna look like a Luma.
Yeah.
All right, you know what, Jacob? That is a good point.
I do feel though, with the star, I liked it, but I kind of wish it granted more wishes. Because aside from Valentino, the great Alan Tudyk, just feels like the star is like just. Sorry, hold on. Right. Anyway, yeah, but I think it just feels like we underutilize the star's abilities until we, have like the whole magic wand idea later on. But even though like the star isn't really like the star just wants to grant wishes, and that's why the star wants to liberate all the orbs. So, like you think the star might be able to, like just grant wishes left and right, a little bit like random kind of chaotic wishes that aren't really voiced, kind of like with the goat.
It can do magic, but it can't. But it doesn't seem like it can grant anybody's wish.
I mean, that's the thing, though. However, it creates a magic wand that can essentially grant wishes. I don't know.
It is kind of. I don't know if it's like part of the rules as we established.
As we established, there are no rules.
That I don't know if that like, if it's just like because it's like it only like do it in adjacency to like Asha or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it can make animals talk. It can make them do pretty much anything they want, but. And then it seems like it only like I think what it's trying to say is that it was granting all this magic in adjacency to Asha's wish.
Probably, I guess that tracks.
And wanted to free all the other wishes that Magnifico had kept under lock and key.
All right. So, let's see. Here's the thing. The plot of this movie overall is very straightforward. It's like free the wishes, return to the kingdom, and the king's got a manhunt on for Asha, and then we have like the big third act set piece.
You have to, like, as you pointed out though earlier, that the whole switcheroo that it pulled with Simon was actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Simon, being a turncoat, the whole time. Though, yeah, he sold out his friends, but again, the desperation of the wish thing will do that to people.
Yep. And was the whole shapeshift? I forget. Was the whole shapeshifting thing like foreshadow, or is it just like a random thing?
I think I'm pretty sure it's a random thing. I don't think we established like the king could. I don't know if it was like a thing he did maybe during the villain song, maybe if anything, but still, it's not a really good foreshadow, but I don't know.
It could just be tried to, magic.
Well, of course, I'm just saying in terms of like, did we see like him do that? At any point in the movie, I don't recall him do it. I've only seen it once, so maybe he didn't. I blinked, I missed it. I don't know.
It's like, like I said, to be fair, that's not necessarily something that needs to be set up.
Yeah. I mean, fair point. I mean, it's a good reveal all the same. We do have magic in this. You're right. Let's see. Speaking of which, so the climax of this film, it feels awfully lucky to me. You know, where everyone makes the musical wish together, calling back the original, "Wishing Star" song that Asha, has.
And then combining it with the whole "We're all stars."
Yeah, which again, not really the
I was like,
landmark.
it's kind of an easy out.
Yeah, here's the thing: we have a lot of Disney nods and references in this movie, and that is kind of something tantamount to the. I know it's not technically the Disney movie of this, but it's very. It's like the "I do believe in fairies, I do believe in fairies" moment, kind of.
I do believe in fairies.
Yeah. So they So we seal the king up in a mirror, which is a good fate for kind of the egomaniac, I guess. And we did the whole magic mirror thing earlier. A little nod to the whole "who's the fairest of them all" thing.
It's like, who's the handsomest one of all?
Yeah.
Like he is kind of like deliciously vain.
Oh, of course. It's kind of funny. We take a Hollywood Chris and we turn him into the handsome man egomaniac. It's kind of funny.
You can tell Chris Pine was having fun.
Oh, of course, yeah. We know one thing. From that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie they put out recently. He is he's the Chris of choice for Master Splinter.
Oh,
it's fun. Tiki, I think you're back.
Dude, I don't know, man. I'm so fed up with this.
Real quick. Any point you have with the movie, get him out.
I honestly, my mind's just racing about how we're can fix this problem in the future. So I don't know. As far as the Chris thing goes, I do think it's funny that they chose the one non-MCU Chris.
Yeah. They got the whole set. That's how they wrap them up synergistically. They got them.
But do you think that was intentional? It's like, we can't make an MCU Chris the bad guy.
Well, they kind of did in Lightyear, but he was voiced by someone else. To be fair, he was voiced by someone else when he was bad, but which as everybody points out is like still a very dumb twist.
I think if they were going to villainize a Chris, it would have to be Hemsworth.
I would think just based on the court of public opinion, it would probably be Pratt. Not that I really agree with the court of public opinion in that case, but
I mean neither. Like people only.
Ooh, he's religious. Ooh,
but he redeemed himself to plumbers all across America.
Yeah, that pretty much is the reason why they don't like Chris Pratt.
Essentially, yes, and that pisses me off. But anyways, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so Asha gets a wand. So the implication is she's essentially becoming like the blue fairy, the fairy godmother, or what have you,
or like a fairy godmother.
Which one, Dragon? The blue fairy or the fairy godmother?
I always went into this movie thinking the whole Wish Can See was going to be the blue fairy.
Same, but I feel like the actual structure of this movie makes it feel more like it's the fairy godmother.
Yeah, no,
I mean, they literally name dropped the fairy godmother.
It just it kind of feels like we're just given all the Disney nods and the whole 100th thing. It just feels like we're very much trying to pay that off in a big way, and it feels a little odd because I kind of see what they're going for there, but it just feels like, well, if we're not going to make her like, it sounds like we're trying to suggest that she's the actual like blue fairy and/or fairy godmother. We don't want to fully commit to that either way, and I get why they don't want to. Is that
suggesting that like Valentino is the person that established Zootopia, or that these are the actual seven dwarves?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think
it's the grandfather wrote "When You Wish Upon a Star." That's the fucking money.
Yeah. I don't think Disney liked what Tiki said.
There we go again.
I think Bob's messing with them.
I don't think Iger would do something like that.
No, you're right. I like to think Iger's above that sort of thing. That what is? What? I think Chapek's in the mainframe. I think Chapek's getting his revenge.
Well,
I think he's back.
Jesus Christ.
No, you're
dude.
back. You're back.
I am not looking forward to the next solo podcast you and I have to record, Dragon. I'll say that much. Anyways, what was it? Oh yeah, okay, here's the thing. You know what would have actually been a good way to like do a crossover movie with like all the Disney characters? Kingdom Hearts. Just make a Kingdom Hearts movie at this point.
That is a very good point.
I'm just saying, like, it's, you know, if you're gonna go that direction to be like, oh, this is the, like, I can accept that the Kingdom Hearts universe is like point for all of Disney. I can accept that.
So I think the reason they haven't is I think they might be planning an animated series on it for Disney Plus or something. I mean, there's like a rumor about that anyway. Plus, I mean, after the first movie, that they're originally planning on doing something anyway before they confirmed Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like, so I was like, so I still think, so I don't know if that's like still in the works right now or anything, but it would be kind of interesting for them to do. But so I was like,
live action remakes.
Yes.
Right. Well, anyway, I think the reason they didn't like go all the way, like saying okay, this is definitely interconnecting the other. It feels like a weird half measure, right? It just feels like we're gonna reference these Disney things, yet we're not really gonna actually connect them. But yeah,
it's more like a bunch of winks and nods.
Yeah, a bunch of winks and nods, and we're not going to go full tilt with it because you just want to have you want to keep it loose, you want to kind of keep it fun, but there's kind of like if we're going to have that as a payoff, it feels like a little weird that it's like we're leading people to think that we're maybe trying to actually connect this stuff, but then we're really not, and I don't think it's supposed to be connected. I just think it's just them like having fun with the whole, hey, it's it's for the 100th, that's what it really feels like.
Yeah.
Of course, now Tiki bringing up that Kingdom Hearts point doesn't make like, why can't we do Kingdom Hearts? Why can't we do like the big end game kind of version of the Disney films?
Which
we already kind of did the the precursor of that. We did the testing ground for that with Once Upon a Studio. I mean,
So yeah, I mean, Kingdom Hearts might be too much of a project for like as we mentioned for a movie kind of thing.
Well, we did Ralph Breaks the Internet. We got everyone in there.
I know, but that was also more like self-contained. The Disney stuff, and that was like kind of more self-contained than anything else.
Yeah.
Than like Kingdom Hearts would be.
All right, I got one last thing to bring up, and I think maybe we should probably bring it to a close. So the end credits of this film.
Yeah, like not all of them, but all of the previous references to Disney films.
All the little constellations that are essentially they go pretty chronologically. I mean, I don't think it's 100% like
And they skipped a couple.
Well, that's what yes. The point, but yes, we go through these constellations of the Disney characters almost chronologically, if not predominantly chronologically. However, we did skip over some, and for me, the most notable one we skipped over, Meet the Robinsons.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
That one bugged me. I've seen some discourse on where the heck is Meet the Robinsons? Yeah. Also, it feels weird that we go with our Kabuki mask foe from Big Hero 6 versus Baymax as kind of our constellation for Big Hero 6.
I mean, I'm just wondering if for Meet the Robinsons and Black Cauldron Rescuers, if it's like a rights thing. I mean, but they don't really get Tarzan, so I'm not sure about that.
That's the thing. I mean, Tarzan. It's like the hardest rights to get.
Yeah, so I have no idea.
I know Meet the Robinsons comparatively is obscure, but that's and to say if we're gonna put Chicken Little on there, I mean, come on, they had Dinosaur on there, man, the dinosaur movie.
Yeah, Aladar, I think his name is.
Yeah,
it's like again, and as you mentioned, it's kind of they put the Kabuki on the villain from Big Hero 6. Callahan.
Yokai, technically it's Yokai. It's kind of like I like the line there, the Kabuki mask guy. But
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, so like I said in my comment, they include Home on the Range. Like I'm I'm like one of the very few defenders of Home on the Range, but not over the Rescuers. Come on now.
You want to hear something funny?
What?
So I saw the movie with my friend who's also an animation geek like myself. And at the end, we were having a really good time. Honestly, we were kind of having the best time of the movie at the end of the credits for very silly reasons. We were just like, it was very simple. It's almost like Mystery Science Theater. Like we're pointing out, like, hey, we're listening to Disney movies as the characters are popping up. I don't know. It's like everyone else is cleared out of the theater.
I was doing the thing where I was like, are they gonna have this? Are they gonna have this?
Yeah, I know. We were talking about that. When it's kind of like, oh boy, the next one should be that one and that one. So they're skipping over ones, and then like, my friend is like, oh, where's Home Alone? I'm telling, no, not yet. Home Range isn't yet. And he's like, then I'm saying, oh my god, they skipped over made the Robinsons.
And then they could have at least for Rescuers. They didn't even reference Rescuers Down Under either.
Yeah.
I will say, I think Black Cauldron makes sense for them to intentionally be like, yeah, that one didn't happen.
Well, I think they were avoiding the sequel, so that's why Rescuers Down Under wasn't there, and that's why we didn't get Frozen 2. I mean, not surprisingly, but Wreck-It Ralph 2. So
yeah, and they did.
We get the.
But they didn't. But as you mentioned, they didn't reference Black Cauldron either, which.
I mean, it makes it like Black Cauldron. Like, I will defend that movie as like a good piece of like 80s fantasy animation, but it definitely doesn't feel like a Disney movie. Like, it does not fit into the canon that well.
I mean, I still think they should acknowledge it more.
Oh, I don't disagree. But I can see why they would choose to. The Rescuers is like the big one that kind of is a head scratcher for me.
Yeah, because
I mean, it's not like the Rescuers is like the biggest hit, but like the Rescuers Down Under. Maybe the problem is that the Rescuers Down Under is the more popular movie, and they don't want to acknowledge sequels. Maybe that's it.
Well, they could have at least shown Bernard and Bianca, and they could have, and they could have just like, oh, hey, it's the Rescuers.
It's Ava Gabor's last role. I mean, that is pretty big.
Yep, and the funny thing is, and of course, from Aristocats, they speaking of Ava Gabor, they acknowledged Marie.
Yeah, they did have the Aristocats go kiosks.
Yeah, and it was just Marie, not like all of the other ones. It was just Marie. Not even Tom, not even Thomas O'Malley.
Okay, to be fair, Jacob, have you seen how fucking insanely popular Marie is in Japan?
Yes,
it's crazy.
Yes, I know. I mean, heck, that's the reason why she has merchandise in the first place.
Exactly.
I just think it's. I mean, I'm just pointing out, they could have at least referenced the other cats in the movie instead of just Marie.
Well, the Aristocats isn't the movie I'm gonna lose sleep over.
I'm not either. I'm just saying.
I will say, Dragon, I very much agree with the Big Hero 6 thing. I thought that was a weird choice to not have Baymax there.
Yeah, I mean, literally. I mean, he makes the short, It's like,
yeah, that was a weird... You know what my cynical ass brain... You know what my one theory is with that?
What?
That they... Because the Callahan in the Kabuki mask was just recently included in Oogie Boogie Bash, A California Adventure, and so it's and I've had this theory like every time they push Tiana to the forefront, like the fact that Tiana's the first non-Mickey Minnie character to have a speaking line in Once Upon a Studio. It's like, I don't know, there are certain things like that make me think, like, did they just put that in there for the parks? Did they just put that in there to push the parks? Are they really like, hey guys, Oogie Boogie Bash 2024, come see fucking Callahan? I know that's a stretch. I know it's a stretch.
Yeah, that is a pretty big one. I don't think people are going to see Callahan in the end credits. It's like, oh, there's Callahan. I'm going to go to the parks now.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think my theory about the Tiana thing holds a little bit more water.
I mean, yeah, the Tiana thing makes more sense, but not.
I feel like they are really trying to push Tiana. Like, hey guys, Tiana's coming. But anyways,
but like I said, that makes more sense than the Callahan thing.
I mean, to be fair, Callahan isn't even like the main new character of Oogie Boogie Bash this year. That would be Judge Doom. But anyways.
Oh,
I digress.
They added Judge Doom?
Yes, it was very cool. He does a little show where he dips the shoe.
Ooh.
Get out of here!
No,
Really?
no, look it up, guys. I'm serious. Yeah.
Wait, so what was this? When did this?
Oogie Boogie Bash at California Adventure, the
Oogie
Halloween
Boogie
event.
Bash. You mean you have a guy dressed like Judge Doom who's dipping the shoe?
Yes.
It's got to be like a prop shoe, right? It's not like he's like
Well,
a screen.
it's a prop. No,
No,
it's
no.
an
I mean,
actual
like
cartoon.
Okay, no,
Yes,
no.
it's a prop shoot.
The wise guy, I'm asking, did they work something out with like a screen or something to make it look like he's
No.
dipping the
It's
animated
an
character
actual
in
prop
there?
shoe.
Yes, thank you.
All
Who do you think
right.
I am? Crazy? Talking
And
about
to-
cartoon shoes.
And to answer your question, most recent comment code, yes, this is primarily focused on on their film library.
Yeah. So there was no Pixar either.
No. There would have been for any longer credits on that one.
So it says it was basically focused on the WDAS film library.
Uh-huh.
Nothing, as I said, no Pixar,
It's like Goofy Movie's not there.
no TV series, anything like that.
It's like they go through every Disney Toons movie.
The closest it gets to going outside the actual film library is the hidden Mickey and the fireworks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not even really that hidden of a Mickey anyway.
Which I mean, and there's hidden Mickeys all over the place in Disney movies. So that's nothing new.
I know, but it's it's the most obvious one here. It's the one of the fireworks.
Guys, again, I want to kind of reiterate, in spite of we definitely have bad things to say about this. I still think this is a beautiful looking movie, and I am looking forward to watching it on Disney Plus so I can just admire the backgrounds. Because honestly, I truly think out of everything they've done in the past decade or so, this might have my favorite. Because I really do think that the look of this movie calls back to the multiplane look of the Walt era in a way that literally no one is talking about, because all the conversation in this movie is being drowned out about what a failure it is.
I mean, it is kind of interesting how obviously we know the actual animation is the CG, painted CG, but the actual backgrounds kind of look like the flat depth with the, as you mentioned, with the multiplane,
Right.
It's like painted in the CG, painted in the background.
And that is the stylistic choice that I feel really separates it from, Spider-Verse. Because in the trailers, honestly, seeing the animation style in the trailers, I was very cynical about it looks like Disney realized how popular the Spider-Verse style is, but they don't really know how to actually do it. But no, this is doing its own thing, and it very much is calling to mind specifically Walt era animated stuff, which I think is cool. And I do want to end on that note, because I do think that the backgrounds, because they literally have nothing to do with the story. I mean, Magnifico's a lot of fun, but yeah, you could his motivation is Swiss cheese for sure.
I mean,
the backgrounds are the one thing about this movie that you cannot if you say they're bad, I just you are just being cynical about Disney at that point.
I mean, the movie is gorgeous to look at. That's
yeah.
I mean, that's one of the best things. That's probably the best thing. And it is kind of sad that that's almost the best thing you can say about the movie.
I would say it is the best thing about the movie.
I mean that's what I'm saying. It's I wish there's I liked it, but as you mentioned, the visual style is is basically the reason to see the movie. I didn't get to see it in 3D, but I'd probably say see it in 3D if you get the chance.
I want to see this movie in 3D, dude. Oh my god, if there was a 3D screening, I would definitely go see it again. I don't think there's any near me.
I mean, so yeah, I didn't get to see it in 3D. I mean, there is a 3D option, but with the time I had, I didn't get to it.
Uh-huh.
But I'd say if you have the option, do see it in that. I mean, I can't say for sure how good it would be, but I'd probably say it would probably add to the visual a little bit.
I imagine it would be pretty damn good, because it would be that sort of 3D that adds depth. I would imagine, if it's done right. Anyways, okay. Anything else to say about this, guys?
I think we got it.
Okay.
I mean, my closing thoughts. Like I said, I will say I wanted to like this movie more than I did. I mean, I wouldn't say I was disappointed by it, but as we've said numerous times, it just thinks it could have been a bit more than it was.
I feel like they could have, like, obviously they needed to release this movie this year to coincide with the 100th anniversary and everything. Yeah, whatever. I feel like it's pretty obvious this movie could have benefited from another year of rewrites. It's pretty obvious, like, because there are a lot of really good ideas here, but they're just not all the way there.
And Dragon?
Yeah, I love aesthetically. I like this movie, and I like what it's going for. I mean, on paper, again, the Wish concept sounds good. It just didn't come together. It's just very the Wish conceit is what gets this movie greenlit, but it's also what I think really sunk it. I think that's where all the writing need to be refocused to. It feels like this movie feels like, as far as writing goes, because clearly the animation is like fully developed. That it just feels like this is a first pass at a script. That's what this feels like in terms of our plotting here.
Yeah, in terms of the animation, I've seen it favorably compared to Paperman.
I don't know if I go like a strong Paperman comparison, but I'd see more Tangled than Paperman.
In terms of like the visual style, like the 2D cross with 3D. And like I said, and it does kind of seem like it's evoking that. And obviously it's not. Honestly, I'd rather see like more of something like Paperman, because Paperman was great. But I think if like Disney was to refine this kind of visual style, I think it would be like the perfect marriage of like their visual style and of course tighten up the stories in the story. They could have like future hits on their hands.
Yeah.
Hey, I think that does it then.
Yeah, so let's shout out our dear commenters here who have joined us on our little wishful adventure. Theme Park Priest, Go Gias,
Little Blue.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for joining us on this centennial anniversary, on the centennial feature.
Yeah. All right, kids. Take care. See you around. Thanks for running by.
And be sure to stick around for the end credits.